Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about how we hold and handle our birds, the way in which we approach them and how we feed them in the right manner. These small things will make a massive difference to the way that you react to your bird and your bird reacts to you. When we ask our bird to sit on the glove, it's really where the beginning of all the trust develops. So the way in which you pick your bird up will spell the difference between potentially a good or a bad session. It's going to set the pace and the feel of the day. So if you handle your bird in a comfortable and safe manner, your bird is going to trust you a lot more than if you're mishandling it and making it an uncomfortable journey. So the way in which we hold our birds, not only for safety but also for their comfort, has a massive effect on their trust in us. So before I pick up a bird and show you with the bird on my hand, I just wanted to talk about the glove itself and the way in which we hold our hand, so the position of our hand. Firstly, something that people forget about falconry gloves is that you need to be able to feel through the glove. You need to have a glove that is actually supple, so that when you move your fingers, you can actually feel what's happening. This is made out of deer. I always get gloves out of deer. They can often be made out of calf hide, and you can find that calf is very, very tough, whereas deer still has that toughness in terms of protecting our skin from the bird's talons, but it's a lot more supple. So I can open and close my hand. This glove fits me perfectly, and I can feel with my fingers exactly what I'm doing. Although most of our work's done with our bare hand, which is usually your right hand, because most people will hold their bird on their left hand, I still need to be able to feel where the jesses are going, the swivel, what's going on, the bird's feet. So it's good to have a glove that you can actually move your fingers in. If you can't move your fingers, close your hand properly, you won't actually have control of the bird's furniture, and potentially that's going to make the difference in the handling. So we don't need a glove that's super thick, and we don't need a glove that is overkill. I have larger gloves, I'll show you those as well, but for most of my smaller falcons, owls and small hawks that I fly, this single thickness wrist length glove will do me absolutely fine. I don't need anything bigger than that. For my larger, more powerful hawks, I have a slightly longer glove, so this will sit my female goshawk and female Harris hawk quite happily on here, and it's double thickness. But if you see, I've still got exactly the same amount of flexibility. Even though it's a lot thicker, I've still got that freedom of movement, which means I can safely hold my birds. The position that we should be making with our hand is a closed fist. On top of that, we want to be aiming to put the thumb up towards the sky. So a lot of people tend to hold their hand more rolled forward, if I bring my glove over here, so that there's this big flat platform, this whole part here facing up. But what we want to do is actually tuck those fingers in, and it will make sense when you see my hand in safety with the bird, and this thumb should be pointing up. So I'll just turn my hand so that you can see. So a lot of people hold it this way. Really, you want to rotate your wrist a bit so your thumb's pointing up. So basically the bird should be sitting along your thumb. It almost acts like a miniature branch, and you'll find that its feet will sit much more naturally on the glove that way than if they have to spread their foot over the whole top of your hand there. So try to roll your hand back a little bit and you'll see the difference that it makes. The other thing to bear in mind is where our arm is, where our elbow is in relation to our hand. So some people hold their bird really square on like this, and I'm not exaggerating, it does look pretty silly down here, especially without a bird. So they hold their hand like this. If you roll that finger up and bend your elbow a little bit, so your hand is slightly higher than your elbow, you'll find again that the bird will sit much more comfortably. It's also more comfortable for us. I have to turn side on here so you can see. So this is my natural position, not that, basically. It means that if the bird's wiggling around, the lower our hand is, the more likely the bird is to climb. birds will naturally want to sit on the highest point, so if you drop your hand down, they will naturally flap and climb their way up, and if you weren't holding on to jesses, for example, they're going to end up on your shoulder, and that's not because they love you or they want to sit on your shoulder, they're just looking for the highest, safest perch to sit on. So going back to being side on, this is a natural position when I carry a bird. I'll do it from this side as well, like this, not like this. It means that the bird's more or less eye to eye level with me. He's got a nice flat perch to sit on. My arm's not going to get tired because it's close into my body, which for the larger birds is quite important because they weigh quite a lot for their size. So if you're carrying them out for a couple of hours, if I'm out hunting with the female goshawk, that's going to get heavy after a while. So me holding my arm out here is going to tire pretty quickly. So I'll now switch on to putting a bird on my glove. So you can see how he's naturally sat on the glove with me. I'm going to again just rotate round so you can see it from a few different angles. But he's sat how I would naturally hold him. So on top of my finger here, having a little chat. If I turn him this way, you can see how he's almost eye to eye with me. My elbow's slightly dropped. Although my hand's slightly higher than my elbow, my hand's totally flat. As well as holding our hand in the right position, we need to hold the bird in safety. So when you hear about the safety position, basically all it means is that the jesses, which obviously come down from the anklets here, go behind your thumb, so underneath the thumb, and then they go underneath your middle finger, so your third finger. Close your fingers in. He's sat on my thumb here, and you can see the swivel is locked in. I can then loop up all this excess leash because we don't want all of that dangling down. You can see it's almost as long as he is underneath. So if he was to bait off my glove, he's going to get a wing, his head even maybe trapped in there. So you never want to walk around with this dangling around. Loop this up into your bottom finger. There's no particular way how, but just make sure it's out of the way. And now that bird's in safety position, so we can carry him comfortably. We also know that he's not going to get caught up, and if we do let go, if we fall over, trip up, as we throw our hand out, he's still attached by the D-ring with a falconer's knot. Moving on from how we safely and comfortably hold our bird, this then ties in very well with how we should be correctly feeding the bird. A lot of people put the food up underneath the thumb where the jesses have actually come down. This causes two problems. Firstly, it will cover your bird's furniture in food. If you're holding onto jesses, they're going to get food on the jesses. But secondly, it makes for some incredibly uncomfortable eating. So if you put the food up underneath the thumb, under here, the bird is going to have to lean down under his own chest, under his crop, in order to eat. So when he bends right underneath himself, he's taking his eyes off his surroundings, and it's a lot more uncomfortable because even our captive bred birds of prey will naturally look out and around them to make sure there's no other predatory threats that might take their food. When we're feeding a bird on our glove, and this is particularly important for a young bird or a bird that's just started training, we want to build that trust and build that bond. And the way to do that is to present the food in the right manner so that the bird can eat their food, but they're not going to feel like they have to take our eyes off us. The way in which we should feed them isn't by putting food underneath the thumb, but instead putting it in front of the thumb. Now, if you've not seen this before, it will look quite strange initially, but if you take a look into the history books on falconry, you'll see exactly how to do it. It's something that you'll see follow through time and time again. You should be gripping the food with these fingers here. So if you remember, your bird's sat on your thumb here, your jesses are come down behind the thumb, and then you've got this big part here, and that is where you should grip your food. By putting the food here out in front, the bird still bends down to eat, but he doesn't have to bend right underneath himself, so it makes for a much more comfortable experience when he's eating. It allows him to feel safer, he can look around, and it will increase that trust bond that we're developing. Look at his position now, that the food's in the thumb. You can see the difference in the way that he eats. and show you exactly the same process of feeding with my goshawk Elwyn. He's less excitable than the falcon around food. You can see clearly how much room his feet have and the fact that he can still eat his dinner as well. So it's quite clear to see the way in which you hold your glove is not only critical for safely handling a bird of prey, but also for building that bond of trust between both of you. If you can present food in the right way, you can handle your bird in the right way that allows them to be comfortable and secure, they are the building blocks for when you move on to your training and your flying sessions. A bird that knows it's got somewhere comfortable and safe to sit will consistently want to come back to you. It will choose to perch with you.